Welcome back, everyone. I'm Zell, and today we're looking at another Civivi knife. We've got this one and one more of these knives to look at. Hopefully, get them all done before they make it to dealers, so you guys can make informed decisions on your Civivi purchases. Anyhow, this is the Backlash. As you can see, I man, my H was horrible. Man, that's what happens when you type all the time. Anyhow, look at the packaging real quick. Very similar to the new Wii packaging. We've got all the Civivi stuff across here. We have Civivi on the end of the box. Big Civivi, well, somewhat big Civivi right there. And a big C going around the end of the box. Let's get the little pouch out of here. And the Civivi pouches, as we saw in the other video, are a little smaller than the Wii pouches, which actually is pretty cool, as we'll see as we get it open. They do have the little loop thing that some of the new Wii pouches have, which, you know, maybe that's useful, I don't know. And we say Civivi there on the front and Civivi.com there on the back. Get this guy open. We have a knife in there, of course. Got more silica gel. There was one in the box too. We have the little instruction and warranty card, and we have little Civivi cleaning cloth, and there are no pockets in this one, just the shag carpet, and it's nice and fuzzy and shag-tastic. Moving on to the knife. This is the Backlash. And the Backlash is, well, is probably I don't know, the Praxis I like a lot, but I think this one's just a little sexier maybe. Anyhow, what do you get with it? That's the important stuff with all these Civivi knives. We've got G10, contoured and milled, textured a little bit. It is a peel ply. I don't know if I can get that texture on camera, but that is a peel ply type texture. And we've got stainless hardware throughout. I have had... All right, guys, who got it? One of you guys got my T8. I know you did, because it was sitting right here, prepared and ready, and now all I have is a driver. Oh, here we go. It had snuck over here into the brass or copper one, whichever one that is. There we go. So, get a look at the screws, and we have, where's the Weehaw? We have pretty darn good screws. These pivots are not super tight. They're good and tight, but not super tight, but they are deep. And then I don't have a T6 right up here, but the screws here are T6. And from what I understand, they are all hardened screws. So none of that 300 series stuff that tends to strip out as soon as you get a Torx bit anywhere close to them. We've got a closed length of about 4.6 inches with a handle thickness of about 0.52, a spine to spine of 1.3, and a weight of 3.94 ounces. So really pretty light for what we're getting in a 3.5 inch blade. And a total overall open length of 8.1 inches. Now, 3.5 inch blade, 3.1 inch cutting edge, blade stock thickness of 120 thousandths, about 3 millimeter. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And tip up left or right hand with that same pocket clip, deep carry on there with the T6s, and a lanyard hole. Pretty darn nice in my opinion. I like this particular model a lot. Let's do some size comparison. We'll lay them down on the Fox, and we're going to do the same silly size comparisons we did for the other model. The, what was that? The Praxis. There is a Strider SMG, a Strider SMF, and the SMG is a 3.5 inch Strider. The SMF is might as well be a 4 inch Strider. I think it's like 3.875 or 3.9. So 3.5 inch blade. It's right in there with the SMG. And what else do we have up here? We have our standards. We have a Delica. This is a standard, well, semi-standard Delica. It's actually a HAP 40 model, and we have a Rat Model 1 in D2. And I actually have an Intrigue. This is the bigger model. I don't remember what the blade length is. It must be, let's see, right around 3.5 inch. And pretty darn nice. Now, one thing I want to do here that I did not do with the Praxis, and I should have, is I want to lay out all 3 of these knives for you to get a quick look at. So, bear with me for just a moment, because I've got to get some knives out of boxes. So, here we have the Naja, I'm going with Naja. Anyhow, and the Praxis, along with the Backlash. So there's all 3 of them together, the inaugural knives from Civivi Knife. And now let's get a look at that blade. We got it all stuck down in there in Mr. Fox. We need to get it out of there so we can see it. One of the reasons this is my favorite is this blade. One, we've got this harpoony, drop pointy, whatever you want to call it. I think I called it a drop point, but it's kind of harpoony. It's got this lip up here. Most importantly, it's hollow ground. And for a medium-duty EDC knife, that being hollow ground is just a beautiful thing because in the original, this is a different knife. Let's see what we get here whenever we measure that behind the edge thickness. Holy smokes, guys. Like I always say, we're just going to say less than 20 thousandths. But wow. That is what makes this knife one of my favorites. Now, they're all thin behind the edge, don't get me wrong, but being hollow like that is just a beautiful thing in an everyday work knife that you're not going to be beating on hard because it will stay thin for a long time as you sharpen the knife. So, let's move on along to our pause and read card. We'll lay this guy down on Mr. Fox. All right. Mechanically, here's what I know so far. We have stainless liners that have that really cool coating or something. I don't know what that is. All I know is it's freaking awesome. They are milled out extensively on both sides, and everything is stainless throughout the knife. The bearings, they say, are stainless. I have not taken one apart to see, and it may be kind of hard to tell, but everything in the knife is stainless, where the normal WE knives are, of course, titanium. And it's just a beautiful thing, guys. Whew. And now let's look at this guy mechanically. Mechanically, we have... It's a liner lock with very good lockup, as you can see there. We'll get there right up there where you can see it. We have this coating on those liners that is just super cool. I know some of you are tired of the blue, but I think it's cool. So, you know, whatever. I like it. And we are machined out all over these liners to save weight. That's what gets us down under 4 ounces on this knife. And the hardware throughout the knife is stainless steel, including the bearings, including the screws, the pivot collar, both sides of the pivot. The whole thing is stainless. That's another place where they gain a little weight doing that, but they save a lot of money not having to deal with the titanium. Our backspacer is G10, and let's look at the action. That's brand new at the package. I think I have one of these that's been around for a few weeks. Yep. Here's another one. There you go. That one's been broke in some. So the actions on these knives are extremely good in this price point. You know, we talked about the Bruiser from Tuya Knives being a very good action, and it is. However, the Backlash may not, well, yeah. The Backlash has got the lightest blade because of being hollow ground and being a smaller blade than the other two. But they've all got just superb little actions. They flip good. Doesn't take much. Just break the detent and they flip. And kind of close themselves. Very nice. I mean, guys, these are knives that are going to sell from between $42.50 and $50. And that is impressive. The other piece of the mechanics that we should talk about is a 9CR18 MOV in the blade. Now, 9CR18 MOV, if you look at it chemically, the recipe for it makes it fall somewhere between 440B and 440C at the higher end, nearer to 440C. And they are saying that they're hardening this stuff up to 58, if I remember right. Let me look and check. They're saying 58 to 60, so their target's 59. And if that's the case, and my use on this other Backlash is any thing to go by, the steel, I believe, is going to do really darn good. It's one of those things, you know, at price point, what do you want? Do you want D2 that holds a pretty good edge for a long time? Do you want 8CR13 MOV that doesn't do anything very good? I mean, it will sharpen up to a fine edge, but it loses it fast. Or you want something like this, where you've got extremely good corrosion resistance, and from what people tell me, that it holds its edge as good or better than VG10. My experience is better, but, you know, I'm jaded against VG10, so whenever I'm using it, I probably notice the edge fall off just as soon as it falls off. So, you know, do your own testing. And in fact, we sent one of these models down to Stazza 23, and he is going to do some testing on the steel and some comparison, I'm sure, with VG10 and stuff, because everyone keeps bringing up VG10, and I am not the guy to be making comparisons to VG10 because I rather despise this stuff. Now, ergonomically, and this is another win for me, the way they put this thing together, it just works extremely well for the things that I'm going to do. Now, I don't know, it's just really, really good for me, this particular handle design and this jimping up through here. And the jimping is there. It's not super aggressive. Now, remember, I've got freaking freaky thumbs, but so it may be a little aggressive for some of you, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be fine. Here, see if we can get a good look at it. No super sharp edges left. And same there with that jimping. No super sharp edges down in there either. Might have been a little softer, maybe, but it's not bad. Not bad at all. And one thing I do want to note, and I don't think I talked about this whenever we talked about the Praxis. These choils right here, if you've got small hands, or if you've got medium size and medium large hands and you're careful, you can use them as choils. But really, they're as finger choils, but really, they're sharpening choils. Or, as somebody that thinks I don't know the terminology to go with knives, inform me from yeah, you know how they are. Inform me that they're Spanish notches. That is not a Spanish notch. Friends, a Spanish notch is a very small little thing to allow you to terminate the edge cleanly. That's a choil. Anyhow, the Backlash, guys, we'll get it in the pocket, but it is one that I don't want to say exactly that I'm impressed with it, because I knew that we could do this stuff. And there it is in the pocket. I mean, it just disappears. The deep carry clip, you got just a very, very small amount sticking out. Done very, very well. You're not going to get your finger on the end of the knife or the end of the blade because it's down in there very nicely. But what I am a bit astonished about are some things that we didn't have to do. They brought these knives out, and they're building them to the same specs as they build, or it seems like. I have not talked to them specifically about this, but it seems like they're building them to the same quality specs that they're building the regular WE knives. They did go down a step in G10, but they didn't go all the way down to the rubbery stuff. They stayed at the stuff that they can machine and make look awesome. They could have went out and purchased a bunch of cheap screws, like other companies do. They didn't. I don't know if they're making them or not. They look very, very similar to the regular WE screws, so there's a good chance that they're making them themselves. But they stayed with really good screws. They took all those things we talk about in knife design and knife building, and yeah, they went to cheaper, less expensive, however you want to say it, materials, but they didn't cheap out on the way it was put together. They didn't go buy a bunch of cheap screws, cheap pivots, and super cheap blade steel, and just slam a bunch of knives together, throw a new brand on there. They took the time to think it out and bring you something that's a useful tool that should last. Now, they're brand new. We got to wait. We got to see. We got to see how this steel performs out there, because there's not a lot of data on 9CR18 MOV. We've got to see how the knives perform, but I've had one for a month or so, one of the Backlash and a Nausea, and they have performed extremely well. No issues. I did, on one of the prototypes, I did lose a detent ball, but hey, 1 out of every 1,000 knives loses a detent ball, no matter who made it. It's just part of the game. They're pressed in. So I'm not going to count that as something bad on the knives. We sent me a new set of liners, and whoop, back in business. But here's my opinion. If you are out there and you are looking for an everyday user knife and you don't want to ante up the $100 for the WE D2 models, you're not hurting yourself one bit to get one of these Civivi knives. The difference in the blade steel is, especially if you live in a humid area, is actually a plus. You may have to pay a little more attention to the blade steel, but I think that it would be worth it in the end. And that's where I'm going to pull it, guys. These Civivi knives have really got me, you could say, confused, because this is really not what I expected from my talks with Joe. I really expected something more like what we're getting out of the other companies. And so he kind of threw me a curveball whenever he showed me these. And I'm really not sure how to take it yet, because he's thought about a lot of things, or his team has thought about a lot of things. And whether the public really knows that they wanted some of those things or not, he's brought it to them. And we'll have to see how it goes. We'll have to see how the knife buying community takes it, because I think it's a really good and viable option. But it's up to you guys. I'll have one around here, probably this one or the Praxis, and I'll be beating on them, using them, seeing if I can find any vulnerabilities. But for now, you guys have a great day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that little bell button so you know whenever I put something new out. And I will see you next time.